How's it going? All good? Oh, before you find anything strange about my background is that, well, I'll talk about this in a future video, but if I have a bigger webcam window, I can't have high FPS. So I need the small webcam window. So there you go. Now we have a nice background around this. But that's besides the point. So in today's video, I want to talk about being bored, you know? And now this requires some backstory. So, I use my phone or used to use my phone a lot. Now, it seems like we don't find ourselves bored these days anymore, you know? You're always doing something. And if you're not doing something, well, maybe you should. So think about a typical day of some person, right? Let's assume you have kids, but if you don't, it's not much different. So you wake up, and then if you have kids, you have to get them ready and give them breakfast and get them to school and whatnot. But even if you're not, you have to wake up and get breakfast and then get to work. And maybe you have to commute, which fortunately is not my case, but used to be not too long ago. And now you have to get into your car or a bus or whatever and then go or a subway and then go to your place of work. And that can take anywhere between like half an hour to 2 hours, depending on how far you live. And then you were working, and then you have lunch, and you were working again, and then you get back, and kids and all that. Now, a lot of people talk about that movie, what's its name? It's Idiocracy, right? Very funny movie. And say that, oh, this movie is like a precursor of times. They were predicting the future. And that is true. But a movie that people don't talk about much as being something that predicts the future, and I think really does in a lot of ways, is Click by Adam Sandler. Now, not going to recap the whole movie here. It's not a movie review channel or anything. But in Click, going very fast over the story, what happens is that Adam Sandler finds this remote control where basically he can skip parts of his life that he doesn't find particularly fun to do. So then he would, for example, be on a dinner or a lunchtime with his wife or kids, and then that's not particularly engaging. Maybe they're talking about stuff he doesn't care about. So then he would skip that using the controller. And he's doing something else that is not very engaging, like let's say work. So he would skip that and move to the fun parts of his life. He would, warp straight to the point where he's watching a football game or playing something with his friends and whatnot. But then the controller, it kind of saves your profile, so to speak. And so it starts understanding his preferences and auto skipping stuff. And so then he gets to the dinner table and he's going to have dinner. The controller knows he doesn't find that fun, so he auto skips it. And then he gets to work and the controller knows that he doesn't find work engaging, so he auto skips work. And that starts happening more and more as he skips more and more of his life. So, for example, brushing your teeth is not very engaging, so you auto skip. And then cooking lunch is not engaging, so you auto skip. Going to the bathroom is not engaging, so you auto skip. And so what starts happening is that his life starts skipping at an ever faster growing, increasing rate. And it becomes uncontrollable. And so eventually he finds himself at a very big company. He's like very successful. He was very successful in his life. In the other skipped parts, apparently he was working very hard. So that's nice. But he realizes that he didn't actually live his life, It just went through. It was just skipped. He was only there for the fun parts that were very few and far between. And the routine, the unengaging parts of his life, he skipped. But as it turns out, those parts were a huge amount of time, notwithstanding like sleeping and whatnot. So he becomes very sad and cries, and his kid, which he skipped a ton of time with the kid because it wasn't engaging for him, visits him at the company, and then I think he eventually dies, but it was actually all a dream. So he wakes up, and sorry about the spoiler, but it's been a good amount of time. So if you haven't watched the movie, you really should, despite the spoiler. Um, and then he finds out that he was sleeping all along. It was just a dream, and then he, goes back and tries to live his life to the fullest. And you wouldn't think that Adam Sandler would make a very philosophical movie. I think he's a pretty underrated actor. I think people like hating on him a lot, like, oh, it's just Adam Sandler, just does silly movies. I think he has some good stuff in there, and this is one that I've remembered for a long time. And you wouldn't think it, but we kind of have this remote controller right now, which is this guy right here. That's a remote controller. Now, how so? You may ask. Well, I use the phone. I use the phone a lot more than I should. And I wish I could say this was a me problem, just like me specifically that have this issue. But actually, no, I look all around, I see that everyone has this issue, which is that nobody wants to be bored. Being bored is boring. So you want to be doing stuff all the time. So in my specific case, and you may substitute that for your own examples, which probably do exist. So I'd have apps like YouTube or Reddit or, news or a website like a sports website or something. I'd have that up. And every time I was doing something that was not particularly engaging, I would change my attention, look at the phone. So let's say, for example, that I am on Sunday, like we've had lunch, everybody's resting, my kids are playing, I'm sitting on the couch, I'm doing nothing. Well, I can't be bored, can I? So I pick up the phone and I start reading some Reddit threads. Or maybe my newborn, it's like 4 months old now, I need to walk around the house with him. It's raining right now, which is why I have the window open, which is quite rare for here. It's usually very hot in here. But yeah, so I'm walking around the house in the baby stroller, and I can't be bored, right? But what am I gonna do? So I pick up one of these wireless headphones here. Just pick them up, put them on your ear. There you go. I'm connected via Bluetooth to my phone. Now I put up a video, a podcast, or whatever, and I'm here listening as I do something. And I was doing that for a long time, and I realized that wasn't good, Like I was getting some pretty nasty habits. Let me give you a few examples. So in the example that I'm like walking around the house with a baby stroller, for example, I would have only one of the headsets or the headphones, like let's say on this ear, on this one ear, and the other one's free. And I'm there walking, and then one of my kids would come up to me or my wife and start talking to me. And well, evidently I have the video playing here, so I'm not paying full attention. Now, maybe they're saying something that requires more of my attention, then I would have to, pick up the phone or just click in here and pause the video and then ask them to repeat what they were saying. And that's a pretty bad experience to be talking with someone, when you expect their full attention. But actually, no, I'm paying attention to this video. And maybe if you say something that is particularly interesting to me, I will dignify you in pausing the video and paying attention to you. And that's really bad. So I caught myself doing that at times, and I made a conscious effort to stop doing that. But it's really hard because once you have the phone is right there, right? So would you rather be bored or would you rather not be bored? You'd rather not be bored, right? So you fall back into it very easily. And then let's say I am, I don't know, cooking something. I need to make a quick dinner, bottle or some such. It's gonna be just a couple minutes. Just a couple minutes. Just 2, 3, 5 minutes. But I can't be bored, can I? So I pick up the phone and I put like a YouTube short, or I read a quick article while I am doing the thing. Yeah. Well, then let's say I I'm having lunch. It's just me by myself. Like my kids already had lunch. They're watching a cartoon. I'm sitting there at the table. Again, I can't be bored, can I? So I just pick up the phone, put it by my side here, and I'm reading something while I'm eating. Now, this may be happening to you, maybe not. Maybe not to that extent, or maybe even worse. Maybe like you wake up. This happens to a lot of people, as I understand. Like they wake up and they don't get up from bed. They just pick up the phone and then they unlock the phone and they go to Instagram or TikTok or Reddit or whatever. Just keep scrolling and reading stuff. Then an hour goes by and they're like, oh, okay, I have to start my day, I guess. And so you finally get up and you get out of the phone. And that can't be good for you, can it? So I found myself after a while with this habit, which was really strange, which I would have anxiety not having my phone near me. Now it's not the externally visible anxiety. It's not like you look at me and you see that I'm anxious and like hyper and looking. No, it's not like that at all. It's just like internally, some part of me is thinking, hmm, where's my phone? I haven't seen it in a while. And so I kept my phone in my right pocket at all times. And I made it a point to always store my phone at predictable places. So if I needed to find it, I would find it. And so if I'm sitting here at the computer, my phone is always right here to my right. Or if I'm there at the house, my phone is always atop the cupboard. Or if I'm at my mother-in-law's house, then I always put the phone in the same place. So if I happen to need it, it is right there. I can find it in an instant. But better yet, my phone can be in my pockets. And so I get this habit of, checking if my phone is with me. So even if I was not watching anything, I was not reading anything, I just, ever so slightly glaze my hand over my right pocket like this, and I feel the phone, and I'm like, okay, I become, how do I put this? I was anxious, and now I'm less anxious, I'm more calm. I'm calmer. I'm like, okay, the phone is here. And 10 minutes go by. Where's the phone? The phone is right there. I didn't even pick it. I'm like, touch it again. Okay, the phone is here. And that is super weird, man. That is very strange. You have to be able to be away with stuff, like it's fine. If the phone is not with me, it has to be fine. If I don't know where the phone is, it has to be fine as well. Unless I lost it, then it's not fine. But otherwise, I should be cool with that. And so the first thing that I did was to remediate the situation, right? Was I uninstalled Reddit because this was an app I used a lot. Like every time I was sitting down and read stuff on, usually either gaming or like SaaS companies or AI or soccer, football if you're not from the US. So it had this like array of Formula One, like the Formula One subreddits a lot. So every time I was doing something in the small spur of time that I had, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I'd pick up, open Reddit, check the newest feed, and then put it away, do something else. And then it becomes this anxiety where it's like, did someone post a new thing that's interesting to me? Did someone post a new YouTube video that I would want to watch? If you use Instagram or TikTok, which fortunately I never started doing, but still, did someone post a new reel that would be really fun for me to watch? And so you have this FOMO, this fear of missing out, and you're constantly thinking, oh, maybe I should pick up my phone and check. Maybe there's something interesting for me to see there. And so the first thing I did was uninstall Reddit. And that helped things for a bit. For a bit there, I was using my phone less because I would pick up the phone and say, okay, there's no Reddit. And I don't have like 10 minutes to watch a video, so I guess I won't open YouTube either. And so I just left the phone. Sometimes we would go to Google News, with the right swipe there, where you have the news feed, and read something about politics or computing or whatever. But I would use it less. And I picked up another habit of like, you know what? I just have 5 minutes. I guess I'm going to watch a YouTube short. So we start watching shorts, which are shorter, right? Evidently. So like a 1 minute, 2 minute video, I'd watch 1, 2, 3 of those, and then I'm done with my not being bored part of the day. So it really just substituted the problem for another. And after a while, I was like, you know what, this has got to stop. Like this has gone far enough. So I picked up my phone. I made the hard decision to uninstall everything from it. I uninstalled every single application. Right now, if I pick it up, I just have like Authy for 2FA stuff, Slack for work messages, WhatsApp for family and like other common communications we use over here. And yeah, just like my bank and those kind of apps that unfortunately you do need a phone for these days. Another thing that I did was change my launcher. So I'm going to show you here real quick. So if I come to my home screen here, you'll see there are no icons, right? You can see just the text there. And then if I pull up, I have all the applications. And again, oops. And again, it's just text. So what this do for me is that I don't have the icons to look at. And you wouldn't think that the icons matter much. But if you think about how long marketing people think about icons, they actually do matter a lot. And you become ever so slightly happier of clicking in the icon. You know, when I go and we use WhatsApp, when I had the nice green bubble there, I'm a little bit happy to click on the bubble. And I pick up my phone and I just see WhatsApp written in Arial font, like super boring. Like, okay, fine, I guess I'll open WhatsApp if I must. So I click it. So it's less fun for me to, way less fun for me to use the phone now that I have this launcher. I'm using, as I mentioned, I think I'm using O Launcher, which is open source, I think. There are several of these. You can install these launchers and you can hide the apps, you can password protect them or some such. You know, I would personally recommend you just outright uninstall the apps, because even if you password protect them, I guess you could just type in the password and then the app is right there, right? So it is still convenient. It is less convenient, but it is still convenient enough that you could just like type the password and access the app. Another thing that I did was, if you check here, my phone is completely black and white. There are no colors. That's another change that I didn't invent. I read about it. I'm like, yeah, usually people they use grayscale because it's less fun to look at. And indeed, that does help things. You wouldn't think it does. But it's actually much more boring to look at stuff that don't have color in it. So now I pick up my phone and I unlock it and I see like a bunch of plain text on the screen and everything is black and white. And like, it's super boring. And I don't have notifications anymore either because I uninstalled all the apps. So before I would just like unlock my phone and see a bunch of new videos that people that I was following subscribed to, they people that I were following, I was following, had published, or new posts on Reddit, and generally like a ton of stuff that I could just, I click and then I'm taken to the app and I can have fun again. And now I don't have any of that. Like there's no notifications, there's no nothing. I just either have like Slack notifications, which are about work, which I guess we gotta do. And then WhatsApp notifications, which usually my wife or my mom or my dad or something, and then I respond to them. And once I attend to those, then I'm done. So before I did all of this, I would check my phone basically every 5 to 10 minutes because maybe there's a new video for me to watch, there's a new post for me to read. Now I'm checking my phone, like if I'm honest with you, like 5 to 6 times a day, and that's it. Because there's no point in me checking the phone anymore. Like, let's say I check my phone right now. I look at all the Slack messages, I respond to what I need to respond, take out the other ones. That's it. And I do the same with WhatsApp, put it on the phone. Well, in 10 minutes' time, nobody's going to send me a new message. I don't have that many friends. And hopefully, work is peaceful enough that I don't get messages from that either. And so there's no point in picking up the phone, really. Now, the first day that I did this, it was really, really strange because I was picking up the phone all the time. I just have the phone sitting right here. I'm like, my brain is thinking, okay, I need to check the phone. So I pick up the phone, I unlock it, and I realize, man, I just saw this. There's nothing new here. So I turn off the screen, put it back down. 10 minutes go by. I'm like, maybe there's something new. I pick up the phone, there's nothing there. So, like, my brain had this learned behavior of I pick up the phone, I am rewarded with dopamine. It's a happy time for me. And so, I associate unlocking the phone with having fun stuff to do. Not anymore. And so after a couple days, my brain picked up, okay, the fun time is over with the phone. Don't try. And so I stopped. I stopped. And now I don't check the phone. And something very strange started happening, which I actually lose my phone now. So sometimes I'm sitting here and I need to, unlock some application for work. I need Authy for 2FA. I'm like, okay, the phone is not here. Where is it? I go look at the cupboard. It's not there either. I left it somewhere. The last time I unlocked it and checked on Slack and then locked the phone and pick it back up. And it's very fun to actually not know where the phone is, like it's a strange thing. Now, another change that I made was the one thing that was picking up the phone quite a lot still was to check the time. So, for example, I need to look at the watch to see if it's time for my kids to brush their teeth and go to sleep, or if I have a meeting coming up or something. And so I don't like using watches, but I bought this one. Let me see if you can see it. Man, I'm trying. Okay, there you go. Hopefully you could see a little bit of it. Now, this is a Casio F91W. I'm actually very dumb. I should have just taken off the watch, right? Much easier if I did that. Okay, now, as an actual smart person. So, yeah, this watch, as I understand, this watch was released in 1989. Very modern stuff. You have the watch, you have day of the month, the actual month, day of the week. You can use the clock in 24 hours format, believe it or not. You have an alarm and you have a stopwatch. And that's it. Oh, it's water resistant too. So you can, throw water on it without any issue. But apparently it's a very used watch. People like it a lot. There's even a subreddit for this specific watch, but I did not know. And I tried. I actually do not like wearing watches at all. I find my arm starts getting sweaty, and I really notice the weight. I don't like using anything really, like necklaces, earrings, rings, nothing. Like I get pretty, um, you know, I don't like the sensation of stuff touching my skin, if you understand. But and I've bought quite a few watches in the past, and I stopped using them at like the 1 week mark without failure because I get irritated with having the watch on my arm. But now this time I have a actual good incentive to use the watch, which is I don't want to look at the phone. And secondly, this watch is extremely light. It's so light that I actually forget that it's even here at this point. Except if I make it wet. If I take a shower with the watch, it becomes wet underneath the watch and it starts irritating me. So even though it is water resistant, I take out the watch and I make sure it's extremely dry, the watch and my skin, before I put it on, and then I don't have that issue. Every time I need to know what time is it, I look at the watch. Oh, there you go. It's 4:33 a.m. It's pretty early or late, depending on your interpretation. And there you go. I don't need to look at the phone anymore. So yeah, those were the changes that I made. And now let's move to the final part of the video, which is, well, what happened after I did all that? I became bored again. And at first it was really boring in a sense, which is like I didn't know what to do. Let's say I'm of course I'm right now sitting in front of the PC and talking, but let's say that I stop this and I don't need to work or anything, so I can just, stop using the computer. And so I pick up my chair and sit right there outside. I'm looking at the backyard, blankly staring, thinking, "Wow, this is super strange, man." Uh, I don't know. Maybe I should pick up my phone, but I can't because I uninstalled everything. So I'm like, I just have to sit there and be bored. And I haven't done that in like years at this point. I'm like feeling strange. But after a couple of days, it's normal now. Like I sit down and I start thinking about stuff. I'm like, yeah, maybe I should do that I've been postponing for a while. Or yeah, maybe I should, clean that up. Or I should, change the grass or something. Or I indeed get so bored. I'm like, okay, I have to do something else. And then I start inventing stuff that I have to do around the house. Another thing that's changed, and this was when I go to sleep, is that I remember that I can't be bored, right? So when I would go to sleep, I would put up the screen of the phone right in front of me, like so. And then I would put a video in here and not necessarily watch the video. I would put it at a very low volume or use one of the wireless headsets or headphones and put up a podcast or a very particularly monotonic video. For example, I don't know, someone is beating Pokemon Yellow with a particular Pokemon. They're just describing what's going on. Oh yeah, now I fight Sabrina, and they use this attack, and it's super effective, and that kind of stuff. There's actually tons of channels that do that. You wouldn't think, but there are. And then eventually I just drift off into sleep, and there is that. And after I stopped with the phone habit, I found myself having a lot of trouble sleeping. I've always had trouble sleeping, but now that I don't even have something to distract me with, well, now it's even worse because now I can't even, listen to the video. I like have to live with myself at this point, and this is really hard, man. But then something interesting started happening when I was younger, and I'm old enough that there weren't any smartphones when I was younger. I'm from 87. So I'd go to sleep and there was no smartphone, no nothing. So I just have to lie down there and be with myself. I would frequently have ideas before I went to sleep. Good ideas, bad ideas, doesn't matter. So I'd have this notebook by the side of my bed and a pen. And as I had the idea, I'm like, well, maybe this seems like a good idea. So I turn on night lights, take note of the idea, go back to sleep. And I would do that like 2, 3 times every day or every other day. And then during the morning, I would read up what I had written and maybe do some of those ideas. So I was much more active in that sense. And I didn't really realize this, but it had been years at this point, like literally years, where I had any ideas before going to sleep. Because I was so focused on external stuff that I wasn't stopping to look internally. So, every time I was doing stuff with my kids, getting them ready to school, getting their breakfast ready, driving them or walking them to school, doing stuff for work, having lunch and looking at my phone, playing with my kids, watching a cartoon or a movie, and then sleeping and looking at my phone. So every time of the day, and there's also other activities, right? So I'm playing a game or something, but it doesn't detract from the point that every single living moment, I was focused on stuff outside of myself. I was never stopping and thinking about, my own thoughts. And now that I stopped with the phone habit when I go to sleep, the idea started coming back. Now I'm just lying down there and I'm like, well, I guess I should put up these frames here that I bought many, many months ago. And they were just like sitting. I don't know if you saw in the previous videos, you would see that the frames were, piled up. They were nice to look at. You could see the pictures, but I hadn't actually stopped and just like nailed them down, which is so small. And it's not like I was lazy. It's not like I thought about nailing them down and just, I guess I won't be bothered. No, I didn't realize I had to do it in the first place. And so I got a sheet of paper and a pen, and then just left it by my side, and I would just wake up, turn on the lights, and write something. Write another idea, and then I in the first day that I did this, I had like 10 ideas written down. And as it turns out, all of these things were in my head all along. I was just not paying attention to them. I was so focused on other stuff, external to myself. I wasn't giving my mind time to look internally and think about the stuff that I need to do to improve my life. Like simple things like nailing down those things. Or, for example, this door here. Oof, that was loud. That door had been broken for like more than a year. And I was just using the bathroom door to my side here, which you can go through the bathroom then outside, and it was working well enough. Like, do I need to fix the door? Not really. But maybe I should. My space has to be, the best it can be. And so I started writing down stuff like this. And there's more things that I won't touch in this video necessarily because it's its own subject. So it would take up the entire video if I started talking about that. But I started writing down these ideas and then fixing things around me. For example, my bookshelf over there. See if I can show you real quick. So my bookshelf over there, it was really messy for a long time. I had, old stuff that I was keeping for whatever reason. Like I wasn't actually going to use them, but I didn't throw them away. And I had been postponing organizing that. And now I wrote it down. The day after, I organized my bookshelf. Now it's much, much nicer. And so, in just a single week of me not being glued to my phone all the time, I made a ton of changes. I feel a lot better now. It is wild, uncanny how that can be. So in my computer use, I did another change as well because every time I was in maybe a meeting and someone was not talking to me, or as a subject wasn't pertaining to my work, or someone was like on a really long-winded rant, I would just open up Reddit or something and just to monitor them reading Reddit, but also paying some amount of attention to the meeting. Or maybe when I'm working, I have again to monitor, so I have my terminal open up here and doing stuff. And as I issue a command, and it's going to take like a couple minutes for it to be concluded, I focus on my other monitor here, put up a video, and then I'm watching the video. And then I realize, oh, the command is done. So I pause the video and I go back there. I'm constantly switching attention, never fully focusing on one thing at a time. And so the other change that I made in my computer use is that I do not use either YouTube or Reddit as I do other stuff. I'm using Amazon Music now, which I have because of Prime. And I wasn't about to pick up another subscription if I don't absolutely have to. So, and it's fine. Like, there's a ton of music that I like there. I don't need access to every music under the sun, every piece of music under the sun. So now I just have music playing and I'm paying attention to the one thing that I'm doing right now. So either it's the meeting that I'm at, or it's the work related tickets that I'm trying to solve, or the project for my company that I'm doing. And I'm fully focused on that task and not switching all the time. And so with those changes, I find myself much calmer, much more focused, and being able to be bored without feeling that there's something wrong with that. It's okay to be bored, it's fine. You're not going to die if you're bored. I pay much more attention to my kids. I mean, it's not like I was a bad father or anything. I'm not saying that. Don't understand that from this video. It's like I could be paying more, even more attention to them and doing more stuff for them. And I wasn't because I was using that time incorrectly, one might say. And now I'm not anymore. And that makes me really happy. No, it's not like I'm not going to watch YouTube ever again. It's a great website. I mean, you are here right now, right? You're watching this. So what I did was I went through my subscriptions, and I have my account, I think, since 2008. So it's been 18 years. Yeah, pretty much, right? 18 years, give or take, of subscriptions accumulated. So you can imagine I had a lot of channels in there. And so I went in there and I removed like everything that wasn't conducive to good behavior. What do I mean by that? Now, stuff that's covering world news, like political opinions, that kind of stuff. I was following some channels like those, and I unsubscribed from all of them. It's not necessarily that the videos are bad, it's just that their lifespan is really small and they don't contribute much to my life. Which is like, let's say there's an outrage right now, Trump did something, or I don't know, there was some crime or some event and people are outraged over it. And then you watch the video, you become outraged yourself. And then you you see what people are talking about it, you maybe read the comments. And then after that, what do you do? Well, nothing really. Maybe you post a comment. Maybe someone read that comment and answer you, but otherwise it's just words thrown into the wind. And then tomorrow comes along and you watch another one of those videos, another outrage. And it doesn't really add much to anything. You know, I could live just as well without ever realizing that was happening. So I removed all of those channels. Now, also, I watch a lot of gaming related stuff and computing, IT related stuff. So I removed all the channels that have a negative slant. You've heard of these channels, which is like a channel that's complaining that games have become woke, or a channel complaining that new games have too many microtransactions, or a channel complaining that retro games are so much better than new games, or that the PlayStation 2 era was the peak of gaming. And don't get me wrong, I agree with most of those things actually. Now, you just have to look behind me to see that that is the case. I pretty much only play like N64 and below stuff, unless it's like a game like Hollow Knight Silksong or iRacing, which I like the simulator part of things. Or I don't know, maybe the new Kirby Air Riders. I'm gonna buy that. But for the most part, I don't play anything modern. So I agree with those opinions, but why watch the video? Because at that point, I'm just watching someone reflecting my own opinion back at me. It's like, well, you were right, man. You're so smart. What you think is absolutely correct, and I agree with that too. I mean, that's very self congratulatory in a sense, but it's not useful. It's kind of a waste of time. Well, most things are a waste of time, but this one in particular is a big waste of time, a bigger waste of time than other things. So in the end, I just kept around like I'd say 20 to 30 channels. Stuff that I've been watching for a long time, like The Angry Video Game Nerd or Cybershell. Uh, Positive gaming related stuff where people, are not overly negative, like Arlo or Scott the Was. Of course, GameSack, which is the best channel on YouTube, if you ask me. And stuff about like racing as well. Speed channel is really good. GP laps, simple flips. No, not simple flips. It's I forget. Name it channel. Empty box. There's a few in there. People that are doing good work. And channels that you can clearly see that the person takes a long time. Like they publish one video every month. because they really take their time in, researching the video and then making a well-produced video and making it worth your while to watch it, and removing basically anything that's like just daily content. I don't want to say slop or mill because it has its uses, but it doesn't add much to my life. And so I'm watching much less YouTube these days. And when I do it, I try to be something that is genuine, and that it's not something that I'm doing just to waste time. I'm watching the video because I actually want to watch said video. So I went into my search history. I cleared out everything. So basically, I have no recommendations anymore. I go to the front page, and there are no recommendations. Maybe there are just a few based on my follow channels. And then I actually go into subscriptions, and I see 5, 10 videos that the channels I'm subscribed to have posted in the past week, and that's it. So now I have maybe 5 to 10 videos to watch. I'm not going to watch all of them actually. So I look at the title, and then I'm like, okay, this is one that I want to watch. So I click on the video. I make myself a nice yerba mate here, which we can talk about in a future video. And then I just have the one monitor. I have the video playing. I watch all of it, and then I stop. I close YouTube and then go do something else. So I think that's a much healthier way to go about things. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be easy. And depending on how far you are on the whole being addicted to digital things, how far you are on that treadmill, it may be even harder for you to disconnect. But I think you should, man. I think you should at least try. Try it for a week. If you don't see any improvement, you think, oh, it's just this guy's full of shit. It's not that big of a deal. Well, then you can go back, right? But give it a good try. I say a full week because a full week is a good amount of time to really feel the changed routine in your life. Go into your phone, try and uninstall everything. Just keep the absolute bare minimum that you need for your day-to-day life. Maybe try and buy a watch so you don't look at your phone to see the time. Maybe I haven't done this yet, but this is my next plan for next year. Maybe buy a camera, like an actual camera. One of those, it doesn't need to be an old camera, but we had those, Sony Cybershot digital cameras as they came around, and you didn't have to develop film anymore. That was great because you just like took a bunch of pictures, and then you pick up the SD card. It wasn't an SD card at the time. It was another proprietary Sony format. And you put that into your computer, transferred over the photos, and then there wasn't even Google Photos at the time. You couldn't upload the pictures. You just have to save keep them in your own backups. So yeah, maybe buy a camera. I haven't done that yet, but that's something that I plan to do because that's one last thing that I need to pick up my phone for. You need to take a picture, take a video, use the camera. You need to play something. Don't install any games in your phone. 1 second. Now, if you're not as much of a purist as I am, because I'm not the extreme purist, which is like I want to have the actual hardware. But number one, I don't care about having the actual cartridges because they're very expensive. So I just buy EverDrives. So that is one thing. And secondly, these days I mostly emulate stuff on the Mister here because it's so much more convenient, and the FPGA emulation is really accurate to the original hardware, so I'm happy with that. But if you're even less of a purist than I am, so I would recommend you pick up one of these. My daughter bit off the analog sticks, which kind of sucks, but I can still use them. I have the Retroid 5 as well there if I need the analog controls. But this is a Retroid, And there's others. There's Ambernix. There's AYNs. Like a ton of companies that build these portable handhelds these days, and then you can just install a bunch of ROMs for SNES, Sega Genesis, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, everything really up until Dreamcast. Some are even powerful enough to run a GameCube or a PS2. And then if you want to play a game, you go in there, and in there's only games. There's no other apps that you can get distracted by. So when you're playing the game, you're only playing the game, and that's it. And yeah, I've been talking for 45 minutes. So I think that's enough, right? I guess you got the idea there. So yeah, try it out, man. Just try and be bored. I'm even reading books at this point. Like I hadn't read an actual book in years at this point because there's more engaging stuff to do. But I went to the farm this weekend, and the internet coverage there is kind of spotty. And even if there were internet, I can't look at my phone anymore because I don't have the apps. So then I thought to myself, well, I'm not gonna sit there and look at my watch. That is too much. I need maybe something to do while it's too hot or I can't do anything. So I thought about taking the Retroid, but in on second thoughts, I picked up one of the books that I had bought a long time ago on my shelf there, which I have already shown you. And I took the book with me. And sure enough, when it got, a bit calmer, I picked up the book. I read like some 20, 30 pages first chapter. It was really strange, man. It had been a good while since I actually sat down and read for like half an hour uninterrupted. Crazy, I know, right? Crazy. But yeah. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to keep this up forever. I'm going to try. But the temptation is really high. The apps are really well made. They are engineered to keep your attention and to keep you coming back. And so it is a conscious effort to not use them and try and be bored. But I'll try. I think you should too. All right? Okay. That's it. Thanks for watching the video. Hopefully this was entertaining for you. Hopefully the background around me was nice to look at as well. I wanted something that is not a PlayStation, to be honest with you. I don't have that much nostalgia for the PlayStation. I did have a PlayStation, but I used it mostly to play like Winning Eleven, and I did play Metal Gear Solid, I suppose. But I'd much rather play my N64 at the time. But I didn't find any wallpapers that had a nice CRT like this, that was well centered, and with an N64 or an SNES or a Sega Mega Drive, which would be the best to have it here. So I guess the PlayStation will do for now. Otherwise, the room looks really cool, right? Yeah, nice bit of nostalgia there. So yeah, see you next time. Bye. Cheers.